how to get unwrecked in a market downturn. So the conditions have changed. We want to keep your ETH flowing as an artist, no matter which platform you share your creativity on. What we're going to cover in this short slide deck to reflect where we're at as a market is first setting the scene, and then we'll move on to how you can adjust to those new market conditions. And we'll finish off with knowing your minimums, the minimums that are going to help you survive through this next period of time. So let's start with setting the scene. The number of participants in NFTs is down in 2022. For the last 30 days, that sits at around 392,736 people who are considered a monthly active trader. That's someone that has purchased during that month. So certainly off the highs, if you like, from November 2021 onwards, but still tracking above where we were in kind of August, September, October. In terms of number of participants, that doesn't reflect the actual amount of ETH purchasing art, but it does give you an idea of the depth of the market. And a little shout out there to OSF for the Rekt guy, right on time for this period of the market. Superb art. So what does that mean in terms of revenue? Well, in fiat and US dollars, we're sitting at about $28 million a day in just an OpenSea volume, which is one of the biggest marketplaces, as you well know. Richard says here, my Twitter feed has devolved into images of graphs and charts of cryptocurrency technical analysis, trying to predict when the bottom is. Can we go back to looking at art, pretty pictures, and monkey JPEGs? Of course, right? Because we've kind of lost the focus that there's been such a shift in what this marketplace is worth that it's actually distracting away from the art itself. It means that art is also competing with non-art spending because of these fundamentals in the value of ETH or Bitcoin. It means that for some people who need to cover in real life experience costs and things that they need to get done, then they're going to have to prioritize that. So for example, in this cartoon here, it's car registration rather than the next MF mint. So that pressure is increasing too. So the cost for a regular family just going to go shopping or filling up the gas, all of those costs are adding up, leaving less discretionary income to mint work. Adjusting to market conditions will help you get through the next period of time. And there's two collector psychology personas, if you like, to consider. The first is regulars, and second, the degens. Let's start with the degens. They see NFTs as enjoyment, maybe an investment. They're more insulated from in real life cost pressures and have been through multiple market cycles. They are a degen through and through. They're here for the fun of it, for the investment of it. Contrast that to the regulars. NFT money actually affects their grocery money. They have to consider the costs to run their lives or their households in real life. And they probably began in crypto in 2021, so haven't had some of the big wins that earlier participants from 2019 or 2020 have had, and certainly haven't been around for multiple years in crypto as a regular. And you as an artist can consider how to appeal to each of these personas in a different way. So let's first look at appealing to regulars. Well, you can meet their market needs, right? The conditions have changed, which means you can offer things that are a price point or an attractive proposition that maybe they wouldn't have considered earlier on. Different ways of doing this. We're going to cover each of these. Additions are a great way to keep that ETH price point low, Here's one from Sri Ranj, which is a 30 edition, 0.035 ETH. Collectively, that's a 1 ETH artwork if Srijan sells all of that. But for the regular, it's just 0.03 ETH. So he can scratch, or she can scratch, that minting itch. Here's another one, 0.025 ETH, 18 edition. So that'll bring in for Baytula maybe 0.4 ETH. Beautiful photo there. I like the focus on the horizon of the, I think it's a lake there with the orange, a very reduced palette. Beautiful. You don't need to do additions though. If you don't want to dilute your price that you already have established with previous collectors, you can simply give them away. So Corbinian Vault has sold to a number of big collectors, such as Punk 6529. I've picked up a couple as well. So instead of him reducing his price of his work, he's just offered a few of them for free. And if you're quick enough on his Twitter, you can pick up on these. Participation. It doesn't have to be something where a regular is buying your art. Nilo here is thanking Eliza, who set up a live meditation in the Minted Gallery for everyone to attend. So that's something you can do to give kind of energy and warmth and love back to the community that at some point is likely to come back to you as soon as they do have ETH. Or maybe it's just a recommendation because of they remembered you. You make them feel something. Giveaways is another one. This is my favorite because anyone can participate in it. And I did it for the 10K project events. Roy Price has got a good one here. When Web3 Netflix, and how will it be different? So you can just make yourself available as an artist, right? Run a Twitter Spaces, do Q&A with collectors, do something kind of special for them. That's something that regulars and DGens can participate in and get to know you a little bit more. If you've got the time to do that because sales aren't flying, then it's well worth trying that out. Okay, those are all the things for regulars. Now let's look at the DGens. Keep them in the know. Keep your collectors in the know about what you're up to, that you're continuing to create through this downtime, or if you're struggling to create, you can share that with them as well. But if you can, please keep creating. Even if you have to go and get that part-time job or full-time job, keep creating so that when you do come back here for a little bit longer period of time, that there's been a bridge of creativity through. You can, of course, take a break, no pressure on you. Try and protect previous price points if you can. And don't forget, there is still possible to do things for the culture, such as these goblins, but you can also do it with your own way of creating. So keep creating. Don Baker has done one here, the biggest wood block print she's ever done, and does a short video here that gets nearly 1,000 views. So showing those behind the scenes gets to keep collectors close to how you create your art. The relationship side of it, I like what Matt Scoble said here. Just really simple. How's everyone doing? And seeing the replies. If you want to take that level deeper and you're on the manifold smart contract side of things, then you can actually see who your top collectors are and go and have a chat with them, DM them, or maybe drop them in something by an airdrop. Like, these are the people that have got you where you are now. It's worth reaching out and keeping those connections warm. As you do that, maintain your income. So ETH is down 50% in the last 4 to 6 weeks. If you rely on that money to pay the bills, then maybe recalibrating it to prices that are going to help you continue to maintain your income. However, that does come with a supply-demand equilibrium shift. If you put your prices up by 50%, then for some buyers, particularly the regulars, not so much the degens, that could have an effect on the amount of art you're selling. So avoid price dilution if you can. This graph shows what happens if you reduce your price for a collection on a series of works. Maybe try and do it on a different collection or a different style of work, or through addition, something that doesn't dilute your core one-of-ones, for example. And lastly, for the culture, Claire Silver here minted her super rare Genesis, and it's sold to Bat Soup Yum for 52.69 ETH. Love the meme number there. And what I love about this is it speaks to who Claire is, and it also speaks to who Bat Soup Yum is, who wants to keep supporting artists and sees this as something that is going to give back to not just Claire, but the broader decentralized ecosystem. So consider what kinds of statements can you make through this downturn that speaks to for the culture that we all hold so dearly. Now, third part, know your minimums. What I mean by that is the minimums so that you can keep going through a downturn or a flat time or a dry patch of sales. Monk6529 says here, it is a mathematical certainty that you, statistically speaking, will not buy the bottom nor sell the top. And the reason we have cycles is because, statistically speaking, you will sell the bottom and buy the top, organized to survive and chill. So as an artist, what does survive and chill? What could it mean? Well, do some numbers. Ask yourself, what's the minimum you need each month to keep going? Is it 1 sale at 2 ETH, 10 sales at 0.2 ETH, 100 sales at 0.02 ETH, or you do your own maths, but knowing that will give you a target to strive for. If it's not reachable or you need the liquidity quick, then that's when you need to consider something maybe outside of art to supplement your income. Then ask another question. What's the minimum number of collectors, new collectors, that you need each month? Is it 1, 5, 50? I don't know the answer to that, but consider, how big is that pool to keep you going? For the 10K project, for my project there, it's probably going to be somewhere between 100 and 500. And being such a big number, I can keep the ETH price of each of those mints as low as possible at 0.01 ETH. And then ask yourself minimum artworks. What is the minimum number of new artworks you are sharing each month? Maybe you only share one-to-one every couple of months. So what does that price need to be to keep you going through the next few months? If it's additions, also do the numbers. If you're doing a bigger kind of PFP project size, like 500 or 1,000, what's that price point that's going to give you enough ETH to bridge you through the next period of time? And how much time have you got? If you do those numbers, those minimum collectors, the minimum artworks, and the minimum ETH, how much time are you going to give yourself for this to work before maybe you consider a plan B? And that gives you all the kind of moving parts to put together. And once it's down on paper, then it becomes a little bit easier. Okay, so what is plan B? Well, plan B is if plan A doesn't work, rather than being stressed or panicking, you have a second option. And it doesn't necessarily have to be McDonald's, but having a second option, maybe it's a commission to do some work, maybe it's doing some part-time work at a graphic design studio, or maybe it's doing something that is completely separate from art to give yourself a break from the last kind of 6 to 12 months of craziness. But the idea is that you would buy yourself some time by doing it, and that gives you a period of time to then get back into NFTs later if you would like. So it may be in Web3, it may not be. If it's in Web3, find out who's building, find ways of helping them build, and even free stuff, energy you put into things may turn into fee-based work later on. There is a scarcity of people like us who mint and create and understand blockchains. And so you, even if you weren't doing art, could use that capability to help others who know they need to onboard but don't know who to turn to. So that is the end of how to sell NFTs in a market downturn, or as you DGens called it on Twitter, how to get unrekt in a market downturn. Happy to take questions on this through the Twitter news feed or jump into the Discord. We'll go a little bit deeper, but I hope this has been of use, and yeah, good luck out there. Take care.